Ji, assalamu alaikum everyone.
Walaikum salam.
All right, so today, as you know, we have two presents today.
So we'll start it now.
Mhm.
Okay. So the topic that we are going to present today is Metaverse and its impact on social computing. Uh, our team members, we are four, we're a group of four. Our team members' name is Mayer Ali Yusra Munir, Salar Ahmed, and Amar Masood. We're first going to start with an intro, what is Metaverse, and then we'll continue with how it impacts and how it is going to change the whole situation and how social computing is going to impact it in future. Firstly, let's talk about what metaverse is. So metaverse is made up of two technologies. First is virtual reality and augmented reality. Let's talk about what virtual reality is. So let's metaverse. Can you please go to the previous slide? Okay. So metaverse allows you to create a persona. For example, you'll be given a character. You are given a character which will resemble you, that you can take everywhere and you can interact with people and socialize in that certain app. It's an app. It's a 3D app where you'll create your person, where you'll interact with it. You can interact with other people as in your friends, uh, other individuals around you. You can go anywhere, and that will help you create a uh, social network as in such, and it's a 3D virtual reality space. Let's go to the next slide. So we'll talk about other features of properties of metaverse for better uh, clarity. So it is a massively scaled app. There are multiple people. There'll be people you wouldn't know. There will be people you know, your friends, people around you, your neighbors. Anyone can be there. Uh, there are few other properties. It's real-time rendered 3D virtual worlds, as I talked about it earlier. You will be able to see anything. The places around you will be similar to what the reality is, but it won't be real since it's all in an app. It's the number of users, as we talked about, individual sense of presence. You'll feel as if you're there, but it's only virtual. It's not real. Continuity of data. You can continue where you left, and you won't have to feel as if you're not present there, but it's all there. Next slide. What does metaverse do? Metaverse is the next generation of the internet. It enables creators to deliver connected, immersive experience based around activities. For example, आप कहीं जा रहे हो, for example, you're in an app and you want to interact with different people. You want to talk with them. You want to make friends. You can use you can use Metaverse app, a 3D reality app, and do that. आप उससे कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. You can visit places. You can shop. You can buy things. You can do anything. You can change your character. You can edit it. You can do anything. You can change its clothes. You can interact with people and type on it, anything. Next slide, please. Okay. So metaverse for social good. Although metaverse is a virtual good, it has shown a positive response towards the positive impact on real world, especially on the terms of accessibility, diversity, and equality and humanity. Now we're going to talk about how it's impacting the world.
Right.
So, okay.
Thank you, sir. So
Yeah, so virtual reality and augmented reality are slowly becoming our relevant in the world of media and entertainment. There are different ways people can use this technology, but they all have the same goal to create a more immersive experience, right? Because metaverse ka at the end goal यही है कि it fulfills our core human desire to connect with our community, find commonality, and have shared experiences. So as a result, the impact of media and entertainment uh, is substantially heightened in the metaverse. Now, there are many ways metaverse is worth exploring, but here are the few predictions on how it will change the way we drive our social evolution. So let's talk about its impact on the work life. The world of work is possibly where the metaverse will have the greatest impact, building from the trends of the remote work stemming from the pandemic and providing the in-person contact and spontaneity. It affords with the freedom with to work from wherever or whenever, and it could truly revolutionize the way companies and the employees work. So when the COVID first swept the industries and stormed the economy, the internet and the other companies started work from home. Many industries became technology intensive, such as education or retail, etc. But metaverse will further transform these industries by implementing virtual reality based wearables. So the employees will no longer be able to confine to their workstation. They can be anywhere, anytime, and the freedom from tedious daily commutes and in-person meetings and expensive business meetings all can be done from the comfort of their home. Yeah, so Facebook has recently released their Horizon Workrooms, which is a virtual meeting space that allow co-workers to collaborate without the feeling of isolation and deprived of the workplace interaction. You can join meetings with the Facebook's own Oculus VR. Another is Microsoft Mesh, which again leverages the mixed reality experience to connect, share, and collaborate with your coworkers anytime and any place. Next slide. Again, yeah, so now gaming and entertainment industry have been using this technology for a quite while now. Virtual reality entertainment events with massive uh, crowds of 3D avatars are no longer a futuristic notion. So actually in April 2020, American musician Travis Scott held a concert in an online game called Fortnite, uh, which had an audience of around 12.3 million people at the same time. Another example can be a VR theme park, right? So theme parks can be very expensive to build in real life, whereas they can be done very efficiently and safely in the virtual reality. Actually, Disney have started working on their own theme park in the metaverse. Another example can be sports betting, right? So it can be incredibly profitable application of the metaverse. So because it allows people to observe the game from the close quarters and make better decision. Betting can also be is also driven by peer networks, so which is ideal for social nature of the metaverse experience. And the metaverse also come with its own crypto wallet, so everything can be done very fast and efficient. Next slide. Yeah, so Microsoft has recently acquired, one of the biggest companies called Activision for $70 billion, saying that the deal would provide the building blocks for the metaverse. Games like Fortnite and World of Warcraft, Second Life have have always had the some elements of the metaverse where players spend hundreds of hours forming their online communities. Next slide. Yeah, so buying goods in traditional brick and mortar store had give shoppers the ability to physically be there and try things on, whereas e-commerce offers unprecedented convenience, speed, and access. The metaverse is where the two previously separate world of commerce uh, converge to form a better experience that can define the way we shop online. A lot of brands such as Nike, Gucci, Amazon, Tommy Hilfiger have actually started their own virtual stores. And think it like this. So consider an associate working in the store and can instantly connect via text, chat, or video uh, with a customer. Where a customer can ask question anytime and can get recommendations at a real time from the product expert while also browsing the entire store from the comfort of their home. Another key aspect is the education. Next slide. Yeah, so the COVID-19 pandemic, undeniably is the biggest reason for the decline of the socialization in the learning. You know, countless reports display students of all ages lacking the skills to be, because they are lacking the socialization skill, which is often needed in a lot of places. The metaverse can generate high level of socialization in learning, even with the restrictions of the lockdown and the isolation periods. Teachers don't have to show image or videos or read from the book. As a matter of fact, teacher can show their student how a particular machine works, and or how a process happens in a molecular level. Virtual reality presents us with unprecedented opportunities in bringing things together, uh, and students and educators from around the world, as well as shape the cultures and the backgrounds. Now, Salah will continue with how metaverse can have a negative impact on our lives.
Okay, thank you. So now we are going to talk about the other side of the metaverse, or some concerns we should have before diving into the world of the metaverse. So basically, metaverse is the next generation of social media, which has all its positives and its negative, uh, stretched to the extremes. So you can design your own avatar, how it looks, how it feels. So uh, no matter how incredible the technology becomes, at the end of the day, we are human beings. So we need to eat healthy, drink lots of water, uh, exercise, and live with a family. So metaverse impedes with our daily activities because it will be addictive. It will be addictive because our avatars will be able to do what we cannot do. So basically, our avatars will be able to teleport, even fly. So basically, ऐसा होगा कि you will get more addictive, and you will not want to get out of the metaverse. Another point that can be for bad doers, that harassment that will feel more closer and more uncomfortable, and the jobs can also get limited if we like we are living in the metaverse, adopting a life in the metaverse. So basically, uh, in metaverse, you will not need engineers to manufacture cars or buildings. So all you will need is people with ideas, and another group of people that can turn those ideas into the virtual space. And another small concern is that we used to hear in our childhood that don't sit too close to the TV, it will hurt your eyes. And here we are, like we will be wearing those VR headsets that are this close to our eyes. So yeah, it may cause motion sickness for many of us. Okay, so another point is that data. So we all use Facebook nowadays, and we upload our pictures and stuff like that. So but in metaverse, we will be sharing everything. And Facebook does not have a great history in handling data. They have been undergo some lawsuits as well. So that's one thing. And next comes data collection to a level that they will be measuring your brain activity, and that's some sort of data that you don't even want to share it with your family. So how so we will be trusting that type of data uh, to a company, to a single company. Okay, so moving on, there comes a sense of realism. So currently, we are mainly shown the content we agree to see and we want to see. If we take this concept into the realm of metaverse, we might be able to lose the touch of exactly what is real. So it will not only change our newsfeed this time, but how we see the world. We will be giving our sense of reality into the hands of other parties, as they will show what we want to keep us longer on the platform. So for example, let's suppose you don't want to see a certain group of people or certain race of people, so your metaverse will pretend as they don't exist. And this follows to any brand or any product you like. So you will be missing out on the other side of the world. Next comes hate speech and misinformation. So one of the biggest problems of running a social media is to handle moderations. So Facebook has whole warehouses just for moderations where people sit and scan through text to find any negative keywords. So it is fairly easy कि Facebook को सिर्फ text के through scan करना होता है, but considering metaverse, they will have to monitor every single item, as small as any tattoo on an avatar or any writing on any shirt. So they will be monitoring each and every single item. So, and if they fail to prevent this, so there can be a spread of hate speech, terrorism, misinformation, exploitation, and harassment. So it will be utter chaos. Okay, so this will be up from my side, and I will like to call Meyer.
So my member shared some very valid concerns of the metaverse. So now I'm going to present you a demo of the metaverse, which I encountered. So give me a few moments. I'm just going to change my screen. So basically, there are many ways in which you can interact in the metaverse. So as Salah was saying, talking about avatars, and so you can even present yourself in avatars. Or you can be anything. You can be a character. You can be a banana. Like I'll show you some demos which I just explored while I was using the Oculus device. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see the video playing?
Video play नहीं हो रही.
So basically, this is the demo. I used my Oculus device yesterday, and over here I got the opportunity to go to a virtual restaurant, and I was watching a football match, as you guys can see over here. And it's just like it's very realistic, and you can even invite your friends over there, and you don't need to go anywhere else. And another demo I'll show you is that one minute. So as you can see, you can even attend the cinema in the metaverse. You don't need to go anywhere else, and it's really realistic. Like you can see there's an entire hall and recliner seats, and so this shows that how the metaverse can be used for entertainment and leisure. And sometimes apart from entertainment and leisure, you also just want to talk with your friends. So last year in the pandemic, when COVID-19 happened, we couldn't go out. So I even met some new friends and I captured some moments with them. I'll show you that video too. So basically, these guys are one is from US, one is from Netherlands, and we were all discussing about how COVID-19 has impacted their lives. And they were all discussing their opinions on the vaccine, on how the vaccine works. At that time the vaccine wasn't there, so all of them were discussing their own opinions. Unfortunately, my mic wasn't the recording wasn't recording my audio, but so they are talking about the vaccine. And so basically you can go to any theme, any setting, and talk with any of your friends or people from around the world. And the last demo I'll share is in which I just took an interview of a few people and asked them how the metaverse has impacted their life. Wait a minute. So as you guys were referring about avatars, so there's a thing that people can become anything. They can come in any shape or form. And so, this is also a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. That is because then people start misusing their, if they don't show themselves, then they start, misbehaving sometimes in these online portals. And sometimes it's very hard to find decent people to talk with. So this is one of the problems of the metaverse. So I was interviewing these two guys, and basically one was from Sweden and the other was from America, and they met online, and they've been doing this since 5 years. And so this is their opinion.
Maya, I think you haven't shared the audio. When you
Oh.
share the screen, you need to click on that tab.
Yeah, I'll play it again.
Sorry, I didn't have to do your character like that. I'm sorry, I didn't have to do your character. Hey, what? Striker, what's
Personally, I'm really enjoying it here. And,
like
the only reason I got an Oculus is because, all my friends have it, and, I'm trying to hang out with them in the same games and all
you
that.
see all these tall people? You see all these tall people
So
that look
basically,
down on us?
they're telling that why they are using the Oculus device. And basically these two guys.
Hold on, I want to listen to this. Hold on, bro.
1 minute.
Don't mind.
In my opinion, I feel like it has a lot of potential.
Anyway,
like with a lot of other
my
people
God.
like hopping on
haven't
board on
seen
building a
all these. There's so much
metaverse.
wrong.
I can't speak. Building a
think-
metaverse, like if they
more
all
so-
can.
So they're saying that if people actually join the metaverse, because it's very rare to find large amounts of users in the metaverse user space. So it's not that developed at the moment. So it's really rare to see lots of users. So they believe that if people actually join the metaverse and participate in it, then it can have a big social impact. And so basically, these are the final thoughts. And as I said, that the after asking many people, they haven't actually used the metaverse for any productivity use, and it's mostly used for leisure and entertainment. So if people want to use the metaverse for work from home and other stuff, Facebook needs to make it more accessible. Because last night I was trying to set up the Facebook work rooms, and basically it was very complicated, and it had to make me sign up to that some account, and give them so many permissions, and I wasn't very comfortable with sharing that. So these are some of the final thoughts of the metaverse and its social impact, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Meyer. Yusra, Amar, and Salar for this very interesting and informative presentation. I will hold my comments for later because I'll be sharing a link in which you'll get your feedback from your peers. And I'll share collective feedback at the end of all the presentations. So thank you very much for this really interesting presentation on Metaverse. And in the interest of time, I would like to invite the second group to come and present. And after that, I'll offer my collective comments on the two presentations.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Maaz Rahman Shah. My crew members are Shanza Sarfaraz, Abdul Rafi, Salman Hassan, and Abdul Rafi Salim. The topic of the presentation is consequences of social computing tech on quintessential business environments. The goal of the project essentially is to showcase, at least analytically and logically, how the innovation of these technologies has forced many businesses to change and advantage some, disadvantage some, and open new strategies and ideas that have not been discovered before its innovation. So starting off, before we delve into the topic itself, it is desirable, or at least we consider it as desirable, to solidify what the term social computing essentially represents itself. So what you see on the slide are 5 definitions taken from different sources, and you can read them, and all of them conveys more or less the same idea. But to put it simply, you take your activities, any activity that involves at least some foray of social interaction, and you combine that with a system that uses internet, computers, or simply digitization. Once you combine these two things, you get what you call as a social computing tech, and any entity that satisfies these conditions is a candidate for that. Examples would be your conventional social media, such as Facebook or TikTok. Now, then moving on to this, we start with an opener, a small example of how an area was disrupted by the invention of these technologies, the area of branding or branded content. So in the mid 20th century, or just after that, most of this promotion and the significant portion of exposure for any brand was through mass media and mainstream networks. And this is the reason mega corporations poured in a lot of resources into creating advertisements that incorporated entertainment techniques, such as making short stories and interesting characters, which ended up promoting a particular brand that they wanted to promote. And this is the same reason we saw that producers of luxury automobiles were hosting golfing competitions, and extremely popular fast food chains were sponsoring successful movies. But then what happened? Social media happened. And what did it bring with itself? It brought what we call the crowd culture. So at the advent of the internet, in the start, it provided blogs, wikis, forums, all of these resources that allowed for discussions by many different individuals. And obviously, they were not limited to geographical isolations. There were many different individuals from different areas discussing the same thing. What this did, essentially, it created what we call subcultures, which is a kind of group think, different people discussing a particular category, formulating opinions on the same category. And if you take these multiple subcultures and expanded them, this formed what we call a larger culture. And this transformed into then the crowd culture itself. So what this essentially meant was that the control of the dissemination of information and the control of flowing of ideas was transformed from those mainstream media networks to the people themselves. They were people who were creating these ideas, and they were people who were adopting them. So moving on from this, then we come into how it affected the idea itself. So now the corporations, big corporations, they picked up on this, and some of them tried to adjust to it as well. For example, in 2012, Coca-Cola had a website, a static website for itself, and what it did, it transformed that into a kind of magazine, a digital magazine, which it called the Coca-Cola Journey. So, and on that, it used to provide pop culture topics, a bit on people on them. But the thing is, the venture was not very successful. People barely know about it, and there are not a lot of viewers for it. But on the same ticket, you have what you call a Mexican food chain. It's called Chipotle. And what Chipotle did was it produced a video in which it criticized industrial food production companies that produce meat, for example, and other products on a very, very large scale. So it made a video, and what it showed in the video was that there is a farm, and on that farm there are animals who are being taken care of fairly well. But then in the video, it transformed that farm into an industry, and now it showcased that the same animals are being treated extremely poorly, and they're being thrown into cages and everything else that comes with that. Now, what this did sit very well with people, with the culture who wanted to criticize these companies on their practices. And this resulted in the Chipotle business blowing up. So what does this then identify? This showcases that due to the innovation of the tech itself, we went from reliance on the mainstream media networks for promotion and exposure to what we call identification of a cultural orthodoxy. Now, what does this mean? This means that if in this era, in order for a brand, let's say, expose itself, what it needs to do, it needs to find some cultural groupthink. At least this is one strategy, some cultural groupthink, and somehow find a method to stimulate the people in it, stimulate their emotions. And if that brand is able to do that somehow and then implement it, the social media does the rest. The mega control by mainstream media has been diminished in some sense because of the innovation of such technologies. Okay, so that was the open part. Now I will hand it over to Rafe.
Hello, everyone. I will be talking on the evolution of social computing and its life cycle in businesses. So, social computing is among the most disruptive technologies making their way into the businesses. The ever growing number of users in social networks has the potential to radically change how we do business and challenges our traditional notions of workforce collaboration and productivity. In fact, Bill Gates has said that social networking type applications will become as important in the workplace as Microsoft Office tools and will likely replace email as the dominant form of corporate communication. So, a question arises, what is driving the use of social computing within the enterprise? First, there is the consumerization of IT, where younger knowledge workers bring to their own consumer devices equipped with social computing features and functions that are part of their everyday lives. A second driver is the open movement. The collaborative and productivity benefits derived from connecting employees, customers, and partners in business oriented social networks are no longer debatable. This open model achieves great economies of scale and has found traction in many disciplines, from open source to open design to open innovation. The adoption of social computing in the enterprise may well occur in four distinct phases over time. Although a couple of these phases may occur simultaneously, this adoption will be categorized by both the classic and well-known technology adoption lifecycle. It looks at how the overall market adopts emerging technology from the pioneers and early adopters to the early and late mainstream. And finally, the technology life cycle, on the other hand, has to do with how a single enterprise adapts an emerging technology to fit the needs of its business and how the market adapts the technology over time to fit these needs. First, we will talk about phase one. In this phase, enterprises that want to better connect with customers and build their social networks adapt platforms such as Facebook and Twitter without any modification. Enterprises also deploy point solutions such as microblogs, blogs, and wikis as communication and collaboration tools. The corporate use of Yammer as an internal Twitter-like tool is a good example. So, phase two, the emergence of social computing platforms such as Jive, NewsGator, Social Text, and Intelligent with full suites of social software functionality built in marks the second phase. It allows chief information officers to think about deploying such technology strategically across their organizations. These tools have led enterprises enhance knowledge management portals, leading to improved collaboration as well as greater connectivity and interaction with target audiences. Phase 3, integration with enterprise applications and processes. We are now on the threshold of this phase where chief information officers and application portfolio managers will determine how social computing can be used to enhance their existing enterprise applications. Social computing has the potential to bring more collaborative features to legacy applications. The trick is to seamlessly integrate social computing functionality into core business applications and processes so it speeds cycle times when compared to more manual and less collaborative approaches. And the last phase is pervasive and embedded capabilities, which is phase 4. As social computing technology matures, it will find its way into large number of enterprise applications as a built-in feature and become more of a checklist item for software purchases. In some cases, chief information officers will decide to augment the built-in social computing functionality with a specialized enterprise social computing platform. Now, I would like to call Abdur Rafi Salim for the problems that we have identified.
Okay, today I will present about the challenges that we face while during the adoption of social computing in enterprises. So the first problem is the lack of social media literacy amongst the workers. Businesses that are far from technological industries, they require greater literacy efforts to train their workforce. Workers who haven't been maintaining blogs or wikis or social media apps will require much more education than those who do. And also, they not only have to learn to use the tools, but also have to develop analytical skills through which they can interpret useful information and establish strong links. The second problem is that the use of social computing apps can make a company more susceptible to criticism, and consumer opinions spread much more quickly. Just one incorrect campaign can lead to a drastic negative impact on the business. A low number of social shares can lead to a negative social proof and destroy the business credibility. Negative comments can overshadow a marketing campaign, and a great deal of attention needs to be paid to handling customer complaints. The third problem is security concerns that are hindering the adoption. Social tools can make many internal private policies, procedures, and controls, and the corporate data much more public. So there is a leak. There is a risk of leak of confidential information, which can be misused by either the competitors or any employee-related activities. The leak of information regarding employees can risk their personal safety as well. So the fourth problem is a vapor lock between IT and social computing initiatives. The IT business divide often holds up social computing adoption by long periods as companies try to hunt the best social computing solution. So the IT of any company, they always try to find the best social computing application that can meet their internal requirements for software architecture and security. So while this isn't automatically a bad practice, the problem is that the best social computing applications, they come from the newer and smaller firms that didn't focus much on traditional enterprise requirements. And this can lead to a lack of adoption because organizations would rather wait for best practices before they can start adapting. The fifth problem is the need to prove ROI before there will be support for social software. So this is an anti-pattern because the real effect of ROI can only be seen after its implementation. And however, this is a problem that can be solved by using examples of relevant case studies in businesses with similar operations. The last problem is difficulties sustaining external engagement. So building successful online communities is more an art than a science, and it may be easy to create them, but the challenge lies in keeping them engaged without the use of heavy investment. So I would like to call Shanze to discuss the practices of social computing.
Assalamu alaikum. So my thank you, Rafi, for inviting me to speak on the practices of social computer. And Assalamu alaikum, sir. Hope you will be fine. So while my peers
Walaikum
discuss here
assalam.
about the pros and cons of using the social computing, how it is enhancing the relationship between the customers and the businesses, I will be explaining here how social computing is being practiced in the businesses. So from internal innovation to customer support, even the development of new businesses, all the companies are experimenting new ways to organize the people instead of meeting, setting the traditional physical meetings towards the common goals to solve the business problems. You probably use these tools, or others have to try to contact you, whether it's not like you. So how they will affect the business, how they will use them to take advantage of their financial business. However, these businesses are no longer managing the people in traditional sense of tasking sense of, you can say, assigning the task to each project meetings and each project team members, and setting the physical meetings for them. They are using the adaptation of social computing in place of physical meeting, and just wasting and just managing their time instead of wasting on the physical meetings. The approach they are taking falls under the umbrella of social computing, a new field of social and group assistant business processes. So the first practicing is direct collaboration towards a specific goal. So social computing aids in the development and direction of innovation development in the organization by framing and collaboration around specific goals and method, than rather than a broad concept. Simultaneously, social computing is upending the fundamental aspects of business, how people communicate and collaborate to produce result. It has impact on many aspects of businesses and management, including the team and organizational unit structures who can participate in and influence the business decision and decision making processes, the business environment that encourages people to work effectively together. To begin, how social computing sorry sir, integrating the businesses processes and activities. To begin, we must acknowledge that there are some numerous approaches to social computing. Each method attempts to focus on a group of people on a specific task. The way people interact in a group, as well as their approach to driving results, can vary depending on the task. Understanding the appropriate mix of shared experience, leadership model, and task assist in establishing the proper content for a social computing project. This content clarifies your organization and your potential participants expectations for a social computing in project. Getting result from social environment also necessitates an understanding of the culture of the social group, as well as strategy for enabling the members of the group to participate and act on the goals. So the next point I want to explain is how social computing work to create how social computing work to create trust and reputation of an organization. The development of social computing is a success of innovation in technologies to achieve all the needs of human to support the organization. So human life is developing, that makes all other requirements change. So the demands of the technologies also change. People have high demand for technology, so social computing is also created to adopt the requirement. Social computing is not just about the technology, it's also about the human behaviors. So social computing is also known as a digital system where they can support the online social interactions. Furthermore, social networking can maintain social communities among the individuals. Many organizations are concentrating on social computing. They want to develop their businesses by attracting their customers, as well as they improve the interactions with the customer, creating an effective social environment for the organization. The social computing is seeming a useful method to create a create the trust for customers, create the trust between the customers for the organization. So I have explained all the points, sir. So at the end, I will explain that how Tech Shark is implementing social computing in enhancing the business. I would like to include the example of Amazon, how Amazon is how social computing, the use of social computing is effective for Amazon. So Amazon, as well as the well-known retailer of books and other products and online, is discovering other ways to involve the collective energies of many individual in helping it sell more through customer reviews, recommendation of similar product, and categorization of item based on the people see products fitting together. Amazon is driving return customer sales. Amazon is one of the companies where we are applying social computing that works successfully, makes Amazon well-known organization around the world, bringing a massive amount of customers around the business partner from through the social computing. Amazon focus on a social media strategy to inspire the buyers. It has over the 27.8 million likes on Facebook and followers on Instagram. So for example of Facebook, Amazon's Facebook page, Amazon is directly working in Facebook to reply the comments from the customers. It is making sure that buyers also satisfy um, with the services of Amazon. The buyer can provide the review or star rating after consuming the product. The review and the feedback are the most fundamental aspects of Amazon strategy, as the interaction between the customer and creating trust for them. Many people trust Amazon because it has a feedback and review for previous customers, and it can show the reviews and stars of all the products they are consuming. That's why the people are having the trust in Amazon. So sir, through all the points I have explained that how businesses are implementing the social practices of social computing, and how they through social computing they are building the trust in their customers. So sir, at the end I want to thank you, and I want to invite my next mate to who will end end the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will just conclude over here. So the thing is, even after the innovation of all this technology, even though it has been 2 decades, I think around, so approximately like that, we believe that we are still only learning the effects that it brings to humanity as a whole, and not just in the business environments. Even there was this research which said that TikTok is effectively reducing the attention spans of many individuals to even less than a goldfish. Now that is comparatively that is a very dangerous. It is safe to say that. So the technology, in conclusion, the tech can be said has brought something to humanity as a whole that has not been witnessed, safe to say, by any of our predecessors. So yeah, so that's okay. I will. There is an activity that we have to do. I will hand it over to Shanze again from here.
Sorry, my mic was unmuted. So sir, I have a question from you. So here you can see that how my mates and I explained about the practices of social computing in businesses, how it's effective, how it is destructive as well. So sir, I have a question from you. Sir, can you tell about any business around you that is practicing social computing, and how it is effective for their businesses, and how the use of social computing has built your trust in the brand you are choosing online? So sir, can you tell us about this?
Sure. Thank you, Shanze. And as you have made this into an activity, a part of your presentation, so I'll have to respond here. So yes, I have very good examples for you. One is our own IBA, and you'll be surprised to know that IBA ventured into social computing at the business level in 2010. Let me share my screen. I'll have to switch off your screen for a second, if that's okay for you. So
Yes, sir, no issues.
all right. So what I'll show you is I have a screenshot from 2010, which will.
Sir, should I stop sharing the screen?
That's okay. I'll do that myself. All right. So I'm now sharing my screen. So this is these are some of the screenshots that I took back in 2010, and this thing that you see on your screen is actually IBA attempt to go into social media. So what they did was they created their own app called Face Friendship, right? It was very similar to Facebook. It has more features than Facebook, and we were able to create this kind of a social platform within IBA to connect all three stakeholders, key stakeholders in IBA community, which is students, faculty, and staff, right? There are other stakeholders, but the platform was open to everyone, but it was mainly focused towards these three. So it would be, the idea was to have a kind of a private Facebook for IBA itself. Now, the reason it didn't flourish that much was, like, it's an old, 2010 is more than 10 years now. The reason we were not able to be successful in that was obviously the idea was a bit ahead of its time. Like you're saying, we are still learning. The organizations are still going through these phases that you very informatively explained in your talk today, that there are phases. So you have to have this social mood and readiness amongst the organization members to start using them. And the second mistake that we did with that was we made it too open. So the result was that we started having a lot of uninvited members on our Facebook, and this is another screenshot I'll share with you. Now this was, you can see my username over there, the logo IBA Face Friendship over there, but this was an ad for some product in Mandarin language, right? So people started posting their ads. So there was like a flood of ads from all over the world on every member who had joined that social platform. Their newsfeed was filled with ads. So that was a technical mistake that we made. So there were two reasons why it didn't take off. But now universities are making use of this. So the next example I'll give you is from Monash University. So let me just go to Monash University website to show how they're using social platform at their university level. Okay. So I'm just logging on. Please bear with me for a second. I'm also quite mindful of the time limitations we have. Now I'll share my screen with you. Now, if you see this Monash University social platform, what they have done is they are in your phase one that you just mentioned, right? Because they have licensed this technology from Facebook without modifying it. But the only difference is that it's confined to Monash University. So you have something known as Knowledge Library, which is, I think, slightly different from your normal Facebook. And you can search for all knowledge resources that Monash has over here. And you have groups here as well, and you have this typical news feed. So anyone can put up their news feed. You can see some of them over here. So it's just like Facebook because it is based on Facebook technology. There's no technology that Monash has integrated, developed themselves, right? So people can put up their posts, share everything, and it has become a really vibrant platform for Monash. The reason being that we have not used this. We didn't make this mistake, and obviously this is 2022. And IBA really took the lead in developing it. They didn't build their platform themselves. They didn't license it from Facebook, right? So there were obviously some technical weaknesses in that. And obviously people at that time were also not savvy in using social platform for business purposes, right? So now this example, like Monash has shows, I know of many other which I cannot share, like for example, Lockheed Martin. I was part of project there when they were developing their own social platform within the organization, like for connecting employees. So there are many benefits when you implement a social platform within an enterprise, right? So it supplements your normal ERP type enterprise applications, which are very rigid and very data structured type of organizations. And this social platform is much more lively, and you can be more informal. You can share more information, and that sharing creates a kind of a synergy, which is otherwise very hard to find information in the structured database environments, right? You have to write queries for that and do that. But in a social platform, information flows more naturally. So wherever is needed. So for example, in one case that I did was this tractor manufacturing organization. They implemented their social platform, and then the farmers who were using their tractors, they found it a very valuable source for discussing problems that they feel. So maybe in one part of the world, in Argentina, one farmer faced a problem that was similar to the farmer in Indonesia was facing a similar situation. So they were able to spontaneously find out that, okay, this is a problem and this is how they fix it in their part of the world. Why not we implement this solution in our part of the world and see whether it works or not? Because otherwise, in absence of such social platforms, it's very hard to transfer this information, because you have to do it intentionally. You have to look, like foresee all the kind of possibilities in advance in order to design for it. So in your own presentation, you concluded that we are still learning about it. I totally agree with you. So with these few examples, I'll finish my part of your activity so that we can conclude this presentation, and you can now start providing feedback to both the groups on this link I have sent you on chat. This link is also, by the way, available on your LMS in the resource folder. So if you go to the resource folder of your LMS, you'll find this link where you can provide this evaluation feedback. So if you, for example, miss this chat box, you can go there. So this is a compulsory part. Let me remind you again, each one of you who have attended this these two presentations today, they have to provide this feedback. Otherwise, their own grade in their own presentation will suffer drastically. So please do that. That's all for today. I really enjoyed the two presentations, very academic presentations. I'll say something more about them in my next class. So that's all for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I'll see you next time.